The New York Times is back at it, spreading misinformation about what's really going on in Venezuela. Not only did the New York Times travel to Venezuela to offer Delcy Rodriguez a glamorous photo shoot, they are now calling her a moderate because she lived in France and speaks French and is supposedly friendly to open markets. That's just a straight up lie. So to be clear, Delcy Rodriguez is one of the most radical figures in the Venezuelan regime and central to the repression against Venezuelans today. Delcy Rodriguez is a true ideologue. Her father was a communist guerrillero who kidnapped an American businessman and was eventually killed by government forces. Delcy herself has said on national Venezuelan TV that she is moved by her need for revenge against the Venezuelan people and the United States. She said that today's dictatorship is her, quote, personal revenge. Well, that revenge has caused the largest displacement crisis in the history of the Western Hemisphere. Delcy is known as the chief of torture in Venezuela, as she personally rules over the regime's Gestapo-like police forces. Countless political prisoners have died while imprisoned after being prosecuted by Delcy herself, the moderate. Delcy oversees El Helicoide, which is known as Latin America's biggest torture center. Several political prisoners have said that Delcy personally watched as they were tortured by the regime's forces for opposing Maduro. She promoted something that's called the Law Against Hate, which is a tool for the regime's forces to kidnap, jail, and disappear anyone who dares speak against the regime, even if it's just on personal, private messages on their cell phones. Delcy is so radical and evil that even Chavez's main American propagandist, Eva Gollinger, has an issue with the New York Times' continued depiction of her as a moderate. Gollinger has been writing to the New York Times saying that Delcy is too radical. Imagine that. Now, I do not think that the New York Times is pro-Maduro or communist. I think that they are being careless and ignorant in their reporting, and they are falling for the regime's lobbying for their own survival. They are also just not listening to Venezuelans' voices. It's likely the New York Times thinks that this is the best way to avoid a war without realizing that the Chavista regime has been unleashing war on 28 million unarmed people for over 20 years. Venezuelans are asking the New York Times to please stop helping our torturers and, most importantly, stop promoting the radical ideologues that destroyed our country and unleashed a crisis like no other in our hemisphere.